Alright. Hey, what's up, nuts and bolts? Well, I'm done with my bike. Not. I lied. But, this is a kind of update reveal because you haven't seen the extent of what I've accomplished on this thing. So here it is. Looks like a different bike, huh? So I did a total frame teardown. Went all the way down to the frame, painted it with a high solid black spray paint. Turned out fairly well. Did probably 4 or 5 coats in total. Painted the engine with a black engine paint. Just repainted everything that was already black on the engine. Painted the exhaust with a 2000 degree high solid ceramic spray paint. Did some welding on it yesterday. Welded on the kickstand and the exhaust. That was the two major things that needed any welding repair done to them. The gas tank's probably going to need some too. I don't know. I have yet to see the extent of the gas tank. But right here, there was a heat shield on the pipe here, and there was 3 bungs that was welded on. This one was cracked around it, so I don't have the heat shield. All 3 bungs had bolts broken off in them, so I decided to grind them all off, weld up this hole. I do need exhaust gaskets, the little copper rings that go in there, because that is loose, and one of the bolts on the header mount, the bolts that go into the block is going to need a helicoil. It's stripped out, so I need to do that yet. Starting from the front of the bike here, I'll just kind of give you an update on what I've installed, what I've repaired, and moved from the front to the back. I have pretty much purchased everything that I needed for this bike, with my budget of $875, which is what I sold the 1980 GS 750 for. I sold that for $875, and that was my budget to purchase and restore this bike. So, starting with the front, the most expensive item was the disc, the new disc on there. And when I'm done with this build, I'll have a itemized expense that everything was, so you can kind of get an idea what it costs to budget restore a bike. With eBay, with finding things used, pulled off the salvage bikes, and just shopping around for the best deals on the internet, it's fairly cheap. You can do it fairly cheap with a bike like this. They don't still manufacture a lot of the things for this bike, but there are other bikes. I think it's the Suzuki Savage has a lot of similar parts that cross-reference to this bike. So anyways, new front tire. This is actually the front tire that I had bought for the Chinese dirt bike. Ended up being the same size, so this originally came with a Supermoto tire on the front, which was all cracked and weather beaten and worn out. So I wanted to get a trail tire on there anyways. So I had that one already, and that's what I use. The disc, like I said, was probably the most expensive thing I had to buy. I've still got to redo the caliper. I have new brake pads for it I'll be putting in. I loosened and cleaned and oiled and re-greased the bearings. I may have to replace them eventually, I don't know, but I just cleaned them up and oiled them, or greased them for now, and it rolls pretty smooth. They were pretty bad before. They were kind of junked up. I don't think this thing has ever been garaged, as was evident by the next item, which was the shocks. You would have seen in my last video, did a speed video on rebuilding one side of the shocks. So one side had disgusting oil in it, black, nasty, stinky, gritty, grimy oil, and it was probably original from 1985. So that was fun to clean out. And then the other side was actually filled with water. I don't know if somebody actually had the idea to replace the oil that had leaked out or something with water, but it was full of water. Or the dust cap was actually out up here. So there's the seal in there, and then there's the dust cap. Both of them go under the clip. And the dust cap was out on the side, and that was the side that was full of water. So I don't know. I've replaced the seals, cleaned out, and just gone through and redid everything. And that's actually where I went over budget by $10, was to buy fork oil for this thing, but I needed to get it back on 2 wheels so I could throw the motor back in there, everything. Another eBay salvage purchased item was the brackets for, this is the oil cooler radiator, little tiny radiator right there. This thing is air and oil cooled. I only had the top bracket, so I found a set of brackets pulled off of a salvage bike on eBay, and so this thing is mounted securely on there. So I already had the guard, but it was only mounted by the top bracket, which was only held on by 1 bolt then. So I found a bunch of bolts for everything and have 2 brackets on there now to secure. Another salvage bike item was the Sprocket Guard right here. It didn't come on the bike, so I got that. I still have some straightening and repainting to do on the gear shift lever, and then find some sort of rubber to put on there. Another major thing I had to work on yesterday with the welding was the kickstand. The bracket here was so worn out that it allowed the kickstand to come at like this angle here, which was not good. I don't know if this is the original kickstand, but the hole sizes don't really match up. Instead of drilling, because the hole size on the kickstand itself is smaller than on the bracket, instead of drilling that out, I actually bushed the hole on the mount, and it seems to be working pretty well. And then I also welded a triangular foot on the bottom that was a lot wider than what it would have been stock, and the one that was originally there was pretty much gone. It had just worn and ground away from wear and tear. I don't know, but it operates smooth, it's secure, and it holds the bike up. Everything else is pretty much just cleaned and painted. The spokes on the front and back wheel are still a little bit rusty. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with those. I'd kind of like to get those spoke skins and throw those on there. I don't know. I had to kind of go through a lot of the joints in the rear suspension linkage and free those up and re-grease them. The carb you would have seen already, that's restored. I'm very happy about how that turned out. Hopefully it works well. This was the clutch perch and lever was another eBay salvage item. So yeah, greased up the speedometer cable, threw the new Kickstarter on there, Kickstarter lever. You would have seen where I replaced the seal in one of my most recent videos. I had to straighten the securing rod, stay rod, whatever this is called, that goes to the rear brake. The rear brake has new pads in it, and had to adjust the cable. But yeah, this thing was completely bent up, and then the cable was zip tied to it. So instead of adjusting the cable, they just zip tied it to the stay rod. So that's turned out perfectly straight now. Been repainted. I've still got to redo. Well, I've still got a lot to do on here. But that's where it's at now. That's an update. Kind of catch you up on the status of the bike. It's standing, it's got the motor in it, it's fresh, new looking, repainted. Still don't know if it runs yet, unfortunately. Hopefully that will be coming soon. I've still got to go through the wiring harness and then reinstall that, remount the battery, clean up that bracket and remount it, and then throw some gas in there, and then we can see if it starts. That's going to be exciting. I haven't pulled off these spark plugs yet to inspect them. I know the bike does have good compression. I don't know if it has as much as it's supposed to, but with that new Kickstarter on there, I have kicked it over a couple times, and it's a compression beast. I'm definitely going to make use of the compression relief. This is the one that goes to the handlebars, and then there's another one on the other side that actually goes to the Kickstarter, which I don't have the mechanism that goes on there. I don't know if I can be able to fabricate one, or if I can order one, or what. But yeah, so up and coming is going to be probably next will be, I'm going to redo the foot pegs, and then probably tackle the wiring harness next. I want to kind of renew a lot of that. Put some new heat shrink on stuff and maybe replace wires if I need to. And I'm probably going to use the rectifier regulator that I got for the Chinese dirt bike because it's a lot better. So I don't know. I might go with the original. I don't know. We'll see. So that is that. I guess another update would be on the logistics of registering this thing. I have sent off and had returned the letter that I needed to send to the previous registered owner. I've gotten that back. They were not still at that address, which is what I figured, and that's good. That allows me to move forward. Next step would be to schedule an inspection and get it inspected by State Patrol, and then with that letter, that inspection, and the bill of sale, I think that's it. I can take it to the DMV and then get issued a 3-year registration in lieu of title. That allows me to ride the bike, have it registered in my name, and then in that 3-year probation period, anybody can come forward and claim the bike, which doesn't typically happen, I guess. And then at the end of the 3 years, I get issued a title. I can only have it registered in Washington State during that time. So yeah, it's moving along. It's making progress. Alright. Well, I guess that's going to wrap it up for now, and then I will keep you updated. Like I said, probably next you'll see is the electrical. And I'll try to get more of this process actually on video instead of just making update videos. Alright guys, see you around.